So then we just see a shot of the street that's empty, and you just hear...
The goat's like, surely I'll make it home to Iowa soon.
It's June 23rd. This is Rock Hard Caucus 153, episode 153. This is a podcast about politics in Iowa, mostly.
Yeah.
We're probably going to venture outside of that a little bit today. But first and foremost, it's a very important date. Today is the 33rd birthday of Sonic the Hedgehog. So we're here to congratulate him on making it to the age of 33, the age of Christ.
Man, I never made that connection before, but yeah, big ups to Sonic.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting crucified sometime before September. I don't know if you know about that.
I did not know that, but that makes a lot of sense. You are a Christ-like figure.
You remember when we were eating last night and I said, one of you will betray me?
I don't remember that, but
yeah, that was real though. We did have, we ate dinner together last night, Evan and I, for those who are very invested in our personal relationship.
Yes, we saw each other in person. We're not actually recording in person.
No.
Life happens, but glad to be here anyway.
Yeah, it's always better to record this over the computer.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked well for us. I think 99% of episodes have been pure computer remote.
Yeah.
And you can't even tell. It's like we're in the same room together. You have no idea.
It is.
As
no
a listener.
one knows. Everyone thinks that we're sitting next to each other, holding hands, recording each of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in a better mood when I'm staring at a screen, so it works well.
I don't know how to interact with people, man. It's computers, it's just ones and zeros.
Yeah.
People are a lot more complicated.
You're sort of not a person to me.
Justin and I both have actual autism.
Yeah. No, probably not. I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never... Maybe something on the
a little bit
in the realm of.
I think I've always kind of figured I was, somewhat far along the spectrum compared to the average person, but maybe not like full blown. I don't know. We might need to cut this.
Let's self-diagnose on the podcast. So the reason that we were together is because this weekend I took the big red pill. That's right. I visited Nebraska. Yeah, we've been talking about Lincoln so much recently. I started to get the itch to revisit my former homeland. And my wife and I we took a quick drive. It was a short trip, just Friday night, Saturday morning and afternoon. Yeah, and I don't know, interesting place. It had been about 5 years or so since the last time I had been in that area. This is like a kind of an interesting thing. I don't think I saw a cop the entire time we were in Nebraska.
Interesting.
Yeah, like not on the interstate, not in the city. They may have abolished the police.
Well, I doubt that. But what's the white population in Nebraska compared to Iowa?
I think Iowa is whiter than Nebraska.
Oh. Can't be far off.
No, I'm sure they're similar, but yeah, I think Nebraska has a greater indigenous population also.
Yeah.
Are you looking up the demographics? Let's check just to be sure. 83% white is the first result that comes up, and Iowa's 87%, so it's pretty close. But yeah, I was right. Nebraska's slightly less white.
Congrats to Nebraska on that, I guess.
Yeah, actually, this is somewhat race related. We visited the Nebraska state capitol. I'm going to be honest, it puts the Iowa state capitol to shame.
Really?
The building is much cooler. There's a guy on top of it.
But it doesn't have the gold dome though, does it?
Well, it is kind of gold on top.
Oh,
but
man.
It's not like the dome is not the focus. They got something even better than a dome.
They got a guy on top.
Yeah, a guy standing on top of the dome. And the interior, there's like crazy decorative art stuff. I did not research at all what's going on with that, but it's like a very tall tower in the middle, sort of Vatican-esque paintings on the ceiling.
Yeah, that does actually look pretty cool. It's a lot taller.
Yeah. So we were wandering around in there a little bit, and there's like a hallway that's got like busts of like important Nebraskan figures. Don't remember any of the people I looked at aside from one. It was like old governors or something. I don't know. But then the last one, the newest one that I saw in there, which they didn't really have a space for, it was like on a pedestal in front
Larry
of the
Cable
door.
Guy.
It was man, that would have been appropriate. People don't know. Yeah, he's a Nebraskan. Forget his real name. It's like
Larry.
Daniel something. But yeah, this last bust is blocking a door. It was Malcolm X. And I was like taken aback, like, oh, wow. Why? That's cool. He was born in Nebraska. He was born in Omaha.
Really?
Yeah.
No idea.
I knew that at some point because I read his autobiography in high school. But yeah, he was born in Omaha, and then the family fled Omaha the following year because of the KKK. So sort of a complicated thing for the Nebraska legislature to put on display, I would think.
I guess. I mean, props to them, I guess. You see a lot more MLK than Malcolm X these days. They don't want to, and generally less likely to memorialize Malcolm X for reasons.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not like whitewashing his legacy by doing that. I don't know.
It seems like the kind of thing that it's harder to do for sure. But yeah, I don't know how he would feel about being in the Nebraska State Capitol building.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's cool to see him like recognized like that, but it's also like he doesn't have that much of a connection to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Because it was so racist.
And yeah, that's not the connection you really want to be drawing attention to if you're a Nebraska politician. But hey, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't really know anything about Nebraska politics other than it's red, very red.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is, but also like, I don't know, there's some interesting like, differences, like their electoral votes are split.
Right.
So Omaha can vote for Democrats.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, also I was reminded while we were in the Capitol, because they've got like the official portraits of all of their state senators, like year by year in a hallway. I was reminded of Ernie Chambers, who I was talking to you about last night, who's like maybe the coolest guy who's ever been elected to office in American history.
Pretty tall achievement.
Yeah. It's also a unicameral legislature. They don't have two houses.
So they don't
like
have
us.
like Senate and House. They just have.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't understand bicameral. What's the point of that? You got a bunch of scrubs, and then they're like, they have to send bills up to the grand elders to pass. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's just like imitating the federal government because they don't know what else to do, I guess. Yeah, Ernie Chambers. So I was telling you a little bit about him last night, what I remember of him. He's an 86-year-old man who is running again, by the way. So what we were talking about last night is Ernie Chambers is the longest serving state senator in Nebraska. For a long time, he was the only black person elected to office in Nebraska. Also the only atheist person in office in the entire country for a long time. Just a very interesting guy. Doesn't belong to a major political party. I think any political party at this point. And again, longest serving, reelected over and over and over from the 70s till now. The complication is that in the year 2000, the Nebraska state legislature passed a term limits rule, possibly targeting him directly. I don't know, because he's the one who's going to be hit with that.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others, but that's a little coincidental.
But there's a strange specificity to their term limit law, which says that you can only serve 2 consecutive terms. So basically, he served 2 more terms after that bill was passed, and then he couldn't run in 2008. He took 1 term off, ran again, and won again easily in 2012. served another 8 years, and is now on another break and is running again in 2024. Again, 86-year-old man.
He looks better than Biden, too, at 86.
Yeah. I was looking at his online presence a little bit last night before I fell asleep, and he's been streaming on YouTube.
Nice.
To a very small audience, but seems totally with it and cool.
How do you feel about term limits?
It seems pretty pointless to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's funny when people are that's the main issue in American politics is term limits. I mean, I get, they're super old compared to the actual population, but I don't know if term limits is really the root of the problem so much as it is just money in politics, you know?
Yeah. I consider that to be sort of a dumb guy solution.
Oh, for sure.
It's sort of like an email forward type of political idea. This is common sense. We got to get those guys out of there. If you spend too long in government, you become the swamp or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's notable that term limits always end up becoming law in response to extremely popular politicians. The presidential term limits.
FDR.
That wasn't official until FDR was destroying the competition over and over, you know?
Yeah. But see, that's not good. You don't want to have a politician who's too popular because that brings us closer to a dictatorship, totalitarianism.
Yeah. If someone gets too good at democracy. That's what it is. Term limits are basically anti-democratic, right? Because you're taking a choice away from the people. Yeah. If you value democracy for whatever reason, you got to let people vote for who they want.
But yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot of other problems in the electoral system that don't really have to do with term limits.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just an easy thing. People hate Chuck Grassley, and he's been in politics his entire life. If we just had term limits, we would get his son in office instead.
It is a good thing to raise when you want to get rid of one specific guy, like Chuck Grassley or Ernie Chambers.
Yeah. So I found this article from the Nebraska Examiner from earlier this year about him running for office again. I don't know anything about the Nebraska Examiner, but they do have a Creative Commons license at the bottom of... Oh, it's part of the state's newsroom thing. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the Iowa Field Report or...
Capital Dispatch.
Capital Dispatch. Sorry if I...
Field Report's one of those
right-wing crazy people. Yeah.
Aaron Sanderford published this in February about Ernie Chambers filing to run again. So he's from North Omaha, the 11th district of Nebraska. I also have a weird ass page from the Nebraska, government page about how their elections work, which I want to read part of to you and see if you can make any sense of it. But we'll get there. Nebraska's longest serving state senator, Ernie Chambers, is taking another shot at reclaiming the seat he held for 46 years, representing North Omaha in the legislature. Chambers, 86, played coy earlier this month when asked whether he might run. He made up his mind after picking up a form at the Douglas County Election Commission, which he filed Tuesday in Lincoln. So once he saw the paper in front of him that he could fill out to run for re-election, he decided that he would. I don't know how that decision-making process works. Seems like he probably just wanted to run regardless.
Yeah.
So, 86-year-old man. His opponent is the incumbent state senator, Terrell McKinney, who's 33. Ooh, that's an important number on today's podcast. And I don't know, this guy seems fine. Terrell McKinney, he's a Democrat. I don't know, it's a red state, like you said, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always pockets. It's more like... I don't know. I still feel it's more rural versus urban than red state versus blue state.
Yeah, I think it is for sure. And, without being knowledgeable about the state of Nebraska politics at all, really, being there briefly, it seems like the rural-urban divide is maybe even more pronounced over there.
Yeah, I would feel like that would be true because they do have bigger, like you said, Omaha's bigger than Des Moines by a good chunk. Which, I mean, I guess the metro area does include part of Iowa, too. But Seems like Nebraska, it's like a couple big population centers and then just absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of absolute nothing in Iowa, but it's a little different. Like driving through Nebraska, you always hear people's complain about how it is the most boring state you could possibly drive through. And it is, really, in my experience.
Yeah, once you get west of Kearney, there's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And Nebraska overall, smaller population than Iowa, right? So it's even more a concentrated population division thing. But yeah, Lincoln seemed, aside from, I drove by one of my old houses, they had a big Trump flag hanging from their front door. Aside from that, it seemed like a very like progressive town in general, like lots of pride flags up all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to Ernie Chambers. Chambers said that he had told people when he was term limited out in early 2021 that he would wait the 4 years and try again if his health was good and his mind was clear. So kind of acknowledging his advanced age, I guess. People remembered all those words, he said. My health is good. My mind is clear. And the legislature, unfortunately, seems to be on the road to becoming a monkey see, monkey do operation.
That's on point. A lot of that in Republican states, passing the same laws with different names.
Yeah. They're all just trying to be Florida. Yeah. His biggest beef is with legislators who want to bring bills to Nebraska on every topic from pinhead states without doing their own independent research. Yeah, I love this guy.
Pinhead states, that's good.
Pinhead states. There needs to be somebody who will put a brake on that runaway train. I think this gets into a little bit of his like accomplishments. Yeah, it's down here. Yeah, let me skip ahead to that. Chambers, who often served in the body as a bulwark against legislation the conservative majority wanted, said he thinks he could block more of the bad things passed in recent sessions. He said he knew ways to derail bad legislation that were not tried. So basically, he knows like the game because his whole life he was in there like trying to sabotage bad legislation.
Do they have filibusters in Nebraska? Imagine an 86-year-old man filibustering.
I mean, yeah, seems like a cool guy. He can handle it. He criticized a more polarized legislature as crazy and pathetic, saying it reminded him of the distant past. Chambers led the repeal of Nebraska's death penalty in 2015. So this is like his like biggest accomplishment, which has a very tragic end. So he got the legislature, again, conservative majority, probably the entire time he's been on it, to pass a bill repealing the death penalty. And then their shithead governor, Pete Ricketts. You ever heard that name?
Pete Ricketts?
Pete Ricketts.
I have not.
Oh, yeah, they overcame a veto also. Like, he tried to veto it, and they overcame that in the legislature. And then the governor, I read some other article about this, but they put it succinctly here, helped lead and fund a petition drive that voters used to restore the death penalty. So it never actually got repealed. That's
terrible. Death penalty is the stupidest shit imaginable. I mean, there's stupider things imaginable, but like, I don't think any sane or reasonable person should be supporting the death penalty, and it's so popular.
It's very
fucking
sad.
Crazy.
It's so sad that like their governor whipped up like a populist frenzy around like
I mean that's the easiest thing you can do too. Like, what about crime? Like, just scare people.
Right, yeah. And
there's not even any cops there. Like,
right.
They don't even have crime. They never even encountered crime.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was joking about them abolishing the police, but like, it really was a stark difference. Once we crossed the border back over into Iowa, like suddenly we see state troopers have somebody pulled over like every few miles as soon as we get back into Iowa. I don't know, man. They're very live and let live over there, it seems like.
Except for when it comes to the death penalty. Yeah.
Oh, I guess you're right. I forgot what we were talking about for a second. Yeah, because we don't have the death penalty here.
No.
So I guess that's one thing we've got over them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like, I don't know. I feel like, you know, like I look at like Missouri politics are also incredibly fucked up and horrible.
Yeah.
And obviously Iowa's like, you know, a red state now, but I think there's still like some time for things to get worse. Like a lot of the things that are happening now are going to have repercussions down the line that we haven't dealt with yet, that, other states have.
Right. Yeah. I've thought of us as sort of following, like Kansas and Wisconsin, like in terms of, tax break stuff. We're following the path that Kansas took over the last decade or something. And then like in terms of education, we're following the Wisconsin death spiral. Yeah.
But we have Iowa Supreme Court that will not yet let the full abortion ban through. So there's just a few little things here that are slowing down the, I don't know what I'm talking about, but.
Welcome to Rock Hard Caucus, everyone. We don't know what we're talking about.
We don't know what we're talking about. It's fine.
Are there any cops in Nebraska? We say no.
Yeah, nope. Nope.
I did look it up. Death penalty is still on the books in 27 states. So that's more than don't have it.
Yeah, for sure.
That includes a few where they're like not actively killing people, but it's still technically they do it. Yeah, I wonder when we'll start killing prisoners again. It's got to be on the table, right?
I vaguely recall that there was a push in the last couple legislative sessions, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
as usual.
So, like I said, the incumbent in this race. Look, we're looking from very far outside of this. So, if anyone lives in this district, it seems like Ernie Chambers is awesome, but you probably already know that. But I'm not necessarily telling anyone that they should vote for one candidate over another because I don't have a fucking clue. But I was trying to look into how this election actually works because I was looking at Ernie Chambers on Ballotpedia, which is sort of the quickest way to find someone's electoral record. And it said that I guess they technically call all of their races for the state legislature in Nebraska nonpartisan, even though it's also common knowledge that the incumbent is a Democrat, Ernie Chambers is an independent. The race itself is nonpartisan, and there's also a nonpartisan primary preceding the general election.
Rob Sand has been a big advocate for that. I mean, in my estimation, it seems like that kind of system is going to benefit super centrist moderate candidates because anyone who splits their vote is going to splits their vote between Democrats and Republicans are going to obviously favor moderate candidates and have, increased pull over the election.
Sure.
Because it's if you have just a bunch of people who are only voting for the left-wing candidates, they're going to get drowned out by the mix voters. I guess, is that ranked choice too? Or is it just nonpartisan?
I'm not sure.
Whatever.
And I'm not sure that what they have in Nebraska is what Rob Sand advocates exactly.
Oh, okay.
You seem to be getting into something specific where are you saying that you could vote in a Republican primary in one race and in a Democratic primary in a different race, in the same election? Is that what
No, I just think
about?
It's just I think Rob Sand was just saying a primary where you vote for your favorite candidates, regardless of party. So you'd have Republican candidates and Democrat candidates on the same primary ballot.
On the same ballot. Yeah. I guess, I would think you'd probably have to do some kind of ranked choice in that case, right?
I think so,
rather than just vote for one out of, 8 candidates or whatever. So it seems like in Nebraska, they have their primary is really just whittling it down to 2 candidates for the general, regardless of party affiliation. So Ernie Chambers got a very, very close second place in that primary. So now he and the incumbent have the real election in November, just the 2 of them. There was a third candidate who got almost nothing.
Okay, so it's not ranked choice. I'm sorry. It's just whoever gets if someone passes 50%, then they win. If they don't pass 50%, then or whoever has the most.
Or they just take the plurality. Okay.
Yeah. Or whatever. It seems silly, but
yeah, there's too many ways to vote. This is why people don't like voting. It's too confusing.
Yeah.
And speaking of confusion, okay, I pulled up this thing on the Nebraska Secretary of State website. Robert B. Evnen is their Secretary of State. Wonder if he's as bad as Paul Pate. We're just speculating about another state's politics now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if this nonpartisan system makes any sense. Primary elections narrow the field of candidates ahead of a general election. Partisan races at the top of the ballot, such as the presidential race, receive a lot of attention in primary elections. As a result, it's a common misconception that only voters who are registered with a political party can vote in primary elections. Okay. Nonpartisan voters can vote in primary elections, but there's an extra step if they want to vote in partisan races. So that someone who is not registered to the Republican or Democratic Party can vote in primary elections because all of the state primaries are nonpartisan, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. But then you still have to let people vote
federal
for the
offices. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. And this is how it works. Nonpartisan voters will receive a nonpartisan ballot. Nonpartisan ballots include all nonpartisan races, such as a board of regents or legislature race in their area. But here's the extra step. A nonpartisan voter can request a nonpartisan partisan ballot. That's hyphenated. Nonpartisan - partisan ballot. This is in addition to their original nonpartisan ballot.
Okay, so there's two now.
Two now. Yeah. The nonpartisan voter will receive two different ballots. Nonpartisan ballot plus nonpartisan partisan ballot.
I feel like I'm a nonpartisan partisan voter. I feel like we both would be that. You know?
That kind of makes sense. Yeah. They're only provided one opportunity to vote for each race. Nonpartisan voters who request a nonpartisan partisan ballot are not voting twice on the same race.
Okay.
Nonpartisan voters have 4 options for nonpartisan partisan ballots. Those 4 options are a nonpartisan Republican ballot, a nonpartisan Democrat ballot, a nonpartisan Libertarian ballot, or, this is another thing that Nebraska has over us, a nonpartisan Legal Marijuana Now ballot. They have a Legal Marijuana Now party that's very present in Nebraska. I do remember, I think in years ago, I signed a petition to get a Legal Marijuana Now candidate on a ballot here in Iowa, like for Senate or something. So they do have some presence here, or did years ago whenever I signed that. But they seem to be a lot more active. I think they're like based in Nebraska. I looked into this long ago. And they may have succeeded. Weed seems to be legal over there. Another thing they have over us. The hotel we stayed at had a weed store right next to it called The Joint. And they had like a painting of Cuphead on the side of the store, like from that game. Cuphead.
Yeah, Cuphead. That's funny. Marijuana is illegal in Nebraska for recreational use. I wonder if it's medical marijuana. Oh, it doesn't have a medical marijuana program. Some counties and cities have decriminalized, whatever. It's fucking... Weed is legal. Weed is legal everywhere. You just have to know where to find it. That's the new law of the land.
Official legal advice from Rock Hard Caucus. Yeah, there sure were a lot of weed stores in Lincoln.
Yeah.
If it's not legal. Well, shit.
Well, we have weed stores here,
like
too.
A block away from
me. We
We
have weed stores here. That's what I'm saying, man. It's legal. You just got to know what to find, where to find it.
Yeah, there's some crazy loopholes going on.
Yeah.
Which, as we discovered last episode, loopholes are perfect and legal.
Yeah, loopholes are good.
Okay, so, and the nonpartisan Republican ballot is different from the other 3, the Democrats, Libertarians, and Legal Marijuana Now. And, it's, what the fuck, man? So the Republican one, you only get to vote in the Republican Senate and House of Representatives primary for the Republicans. The other ones, it's all federal, state, and county races.
So you fill out the nonpartisan ballot for the local stuff and you choose whatever candidates you want. But then if you're a nonpartisan who gets that ballot, then you choose another one for all of the federal races based on whatever party you want to participate in.
It's something like that. Yeah.
That's good for them.
This seems so complicated, and I'm less than halfway through this page. Yeah. So I cannot make sense of this.
I mean, effectively, like, we have, same day voter registration for primary elections. So you can I just switch my party registration between independent and Democrat whenever I need
it's
to.
It's basically open, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like effectively the same thing, just way less complicated.
Right. They don't have to give you 2 ballots. They don't. Yeah. We don't have something called a nonpartisan partisan ballot.
Yeah, that's not helping anybody.
Yeah, once you have to use that term, it's like, okay, we got to figure something else out here.
Which is also what people have been telling Rob Sand is like, we have open registration, because he's always like, independents don't get to participate in the process.
Yeah.
It's like, bullshit.
That's only if you're so principled that you're not willing
to ever change from independent.
Register to both major parties within a 2-week span, like me.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I think I'm still Democrat. I got to go back to independent. But I was all 3 in a very quick succession earlier this year. All right, what else should we talk about today? I'm very underprepared as a result of taking.
Yeah, that's why we've been talking about Nebraska for half an hour. Very little facts involved. But I guess this isn't a facts podcast at all.
No. I also the media bias chart that comes out every once in a while.
I love that. It's so funny.
I want us to get notable enough to end up on there and be like as close to the bottom as possible.
Yeah, there could definitely be like an Iowa version of that, and we could definitely be on it.
We could make our own. What a great answer to that.
Yeah, we should do
problem. The Iowa media bias chart. I'm going to put Bleeding Heartland on the right side of it just to piss them off. Sorry, Laura.
We're going to put them super high information value, but like center right.
Put the Gazette on the bottom.
Yeah. Or you put Liz Len's Substack.
Ooh, yeah.
Low Men information left.
Yeah. Put the Men Yell at Me Substack very, very close to us. Like almost the same overlap. I did want to talk about this. A new seltzer poll came out. And
we were just talking about the seltzer, the hard seltzer poll. That's what they call it in Iowa.
The THC infused polling. Legal marijuana now. Seltzer poll is it seems to be regarded as like really reliable over time, right?
Yeah.
She, I think.
Oh, she. My bad. I'm getting him confused with that fucking Dave Rasmussen guy or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but Ann Seltzer is the president of Seltzer and Company. The Register put out an article about the results of this poll. Our good friend Brianne Pfaffenstiel on June 17th wrote this. Mostly I'm just pulling from this because there's a term that the Seltzer pollers sort of coined that I think is really great. But the takeaway is the headline, Trump maintains big lead over Biden and RFK Jr. despite felony conviction. Iowa poll shows. And also despite RFK stickers all over the public signposts over by the Coralville Perkins that has not done enough to raise his profile in Iowa.
Damn.
Trump leads Biden 50% to 32% among likely voters in Iowa. RFK earns 9%. And another 2% of likely Iowa voters pick Libertarian presidential candidate. Evan, I know you know who this is. Who's the Libertarian presidential candidate?
Who is the Libertarian presidential candidate for 2024?
Everyone knows the name on all of our tongues.
Rick
Chase
Stewart.
Oliver.
Rick Stewart.
I wish. They
going
would
national.
Know, yeah. They don't have their finger on the pulse to know that he would be their best candidate.
Oliver or what?
Chase Oliver.
Chase Oliver. Okay. How far are we falling from Gary Johnson?
Chase Oliver. Not heard of this guy. I don't know, man. He looks kind of evil.
I mean, he's a libertarian. Man, it's not Dave Rasmussen. It's some other fucking guy. I can't remember. He's on Twitter all the time posting about politics. Never mind.
There's a lot of those guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of those guys, but he's like a guru.
Oh yeah, I think a couple weeks ago you couldn't remember the name of the crystal ball guy.
the guy Sagar, fucking that guy.
No, Sabato's crystal ball.
Okay. Oh yeah, Sabato.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Crystal Ball, the journalist.
No. Sabato's crystal ball is the one who ranks every race as like leans Republican or toss up or whatever.
Yeah.
They got some good quotes from Iowans as a result of the Seltzer poll. This is Donald Scher, a 63-year-old Waterloo resident, who said he became a Republican because of Trump and plans to vote for him this year. Donald Scher said, "I like that he doesn't take any guff from anybody, that he puts America first. You know, we need to take care of our own before we worry about everybody else."
Yep. So you're a conservative. So you're going to vote for the Republican candidate. I got it.
Yeah. The past 8 years have changed literally nothing. And he said Trump's criminal conviction has only solidified his resolve in voting for him. Are you shocked to hear that?
No, I'm not.
His convictions on these charges are part of the reason my mind is made up. The more they try to get him out of the picture, the stronger they make him. I, for one, believe that the charges are bogus. And I think Donald Scher is probably pretty representative of the Iowa Republican voter. Seems to be the case for pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Except for one guy who replies to my tweets, who seems to be anti-Trump.
Yeah. This is a dying breed for sure.
Yeah. Aside from asking who you're going to vote for, they did get into like approval ratings, which is very similar, but not quite the same thing, you know. Biden's approval rating among all Iowans is 28%. 67% disapprove of his performance as president. He's eating shit, man. We hate him.
I think most states, I don't think he's doing good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what blue state polling. I mean, I know that national polling, his approval rating is like 40% at best.
Yeah. And they do have like a graph showing his approval polling over time. He was very briefly, approval is higher than disapproval. March of 2021, 47% approved, 44% disapproved. So he's never had more than half of Iowa. And very quickly, the disapproval ratings went way up.
Yeah.
Strangely, both his disapproval and approval went down over the past few months. He had a 3% increase in not sure. So I don't know what's confusing people this year.
It looks like there's 29% of people who say that their first choice could change for the presidential race. And a higher percentage of those have Trump as their first choice.
Okay.
24 to 19%. Yeah, 24% of people who had Trump as a first choice said they could be persuaded, and 19% of Biden voters said that they could be persuaded. I would like to see, the people who are like, I'm going to vote for Biden right now, but I could be persuaded to vote for Trump. I'd like to interview some of those people.
Well, do they mean that, or do they mean
persuaded just not to vote at all? Or RFK.
Yeah, RFK could pull them in the last minute. Yeah. By the way, I saw some other article about how Democrats are trying to prevent RFK from being on the ballot in a bunch of states. What the hell are they doing?
I don't know.
They want to lose.
It's hard to say. I don't really, I tend to think that he would help Biden more than hurt him, but I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I feel like they're both such terrible candidates that it's like, I feel like there's a lot of people who are willing to jump ship.
Yeah. 77% of Democrats approve of Biden's performance. That seems bad, right? That's a low number for Democrats.
Yeah.
Approving of their own president.
For sure. I wonder why. There's like one big issue that has kind of soured him on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Particularly younger people, and that would be Gaza.
Yeah. And they kind of get into that demographically here, too. Biden performs best with those 65 years old or older, although a greater share disapproves than approves. So even his best age group, still he's underwater. And then those younger than 35 are Biden's worst demographic group. 15% of those younger than 35 approve of Biden's job performance.
Damn.
15%, man.
But he did this. He did the student loan stuff, kind of a little bit.
Yeah. Here, this is, they found a 23-year-old in Cedar Falls, Danielle Godkin, who plans to vote for Biden. And, this is like the most positive quote they could get about Biden, it seems like, for this article. I kind of picked my lesser of two evils, in a sense. Says she has a bachelor's degree in political science.
Boo.
I mean, this is almost like someone who votes for Democrats and has a political science degree.
I know.
Basically, like, ideal for him, right?
Yeah, they're like, he's less evil than the other guy.
It wasn't an easy decision to come to, but I felt that Biden was the most closely aligned with my values. In particular, she approves of how he's handling issues around abortion.
Mm-hmm. And that he says that he supports abortion rights.
Now.
And that Trump doesn't. Yeah, and now he does. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what material action they've really done on that other than promising that they're going to enshrine Roe into law. But
yeah, I can't blame you for voting for Democrats for that reason. But yeah, obviously they've not been the best on that.
Do what you want. Yeah. I don't think you should feel like you're... I mean, I don't think lesser of evil voting is like you need to like beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel that strongly about it, then just go ahead and vote for Biden. Who cares, man? It's like, whatever.
Yeah. I will say, though, if you are a domestic listener of Rock Hard Caucus, so someone who lives within the boundaries of Iowa, Joe Biden is not winning this state. There's nothing you can do. I just told you, 17% of people under 35 approve of Joe Biden. He is not winning Iowa. I think that it would be good for us to drive down his numbers in Iowa as much as possible because, if your goal is prevent Trump, you can't do it as a voter in Iowa. You have no impact on that race. But you can give Joe Biden extremely low numbers. Even if you vote for local Democrats and all that, that's fine. But he needs to be destroyed.
Well, the bad thing about that is I don't think that really deters the Democrats from choosing candidates like Biden to be the representatives of their party,
Probably not.
They don't really care if you don't vote for them. Like they really don't.
There's not going to be any good resolution to the 2024 presidential election, right?
No.
But something that people are talking about is the potential outcome that Joe Biden wins the electoral vote, loses the popular vote.
That would be so good.
Could be the funniest outcome, and we can play a role in making that happen if we drive down his numbers in Iowa.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm on board now. I did see that his national polling has like equalized with Trump at like 40% each, something like that.
Actually, let's go back to that Cedar Falls 23-year-old who has a political science degree. She is among the 68% of Iowans who disapprove of how Biden is handling immigration. She said, Trump and Biden, despite what Biden had campaigned on, their policies are very similar. Yeah, great observation. Especially this year. He, reinstated
the
horrible immigration policies.
Immigration, yeah. And Gaza, of course. I don't know. And then his one of the two signature achievements that people like to bring up is the infrastructure bill, which is literally called the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And like 50% of people are giving as much credit to Republicans as they are Democrats.
Yeah, it's like, by design.
I don't know. It's fucking crazy. Like reading what people say on like Blue Sky in particular, because that's definitely like more lib-brained than most of the other social media. But it's like, it's crazy how people are like, this is a terrible strategy. This is a terrible strategy. Biden, the Democrats don't know what they're doing. And like, do not take into account like the material reality that, Republicans and Democrats, politicians more or less support the same or different moneyed interests.
Yeah, they represent the same interests of the same class.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the end of the day. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course, Biden is still going to, it's not like they're going to reverse course on any of this stuff that like the immigration stuff. They're not going to reverse course on that. They're not going to reverse course on Israel, supporting Israel at all costs. Like,
yeah. The Seltzer poll did, of course, ask the respondents about the Israel-Gaza situation. You're going to love the way they phrased it as well. 23% of respondents approve of the way he's handled the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, while 64% disapprove. Never forget that the media sort of can influence the outcome of a poll just in the way they ask a question.
Yep. This is a phone poll, I assume, too, right?
I didn't look into how they contacted all these people, but
yeah, it's telephone interviews with 806 Iowans.
Sure. I don't know, man. It's the best poll we've got.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I don't know. Polls are definitely less trustable if they ever were, but they're definitely less so now with the way that they're trying to conduct them using old methods.
Yeah.
So who fucking knows? I'm not writing. I would not be surprised if he's not going to win Iowa. You're right, but I still think it's a coin flip at this point.
Yeah.
On the who wins.
Let me skip to the part of this that I really thought was good. Biden and Trump each have large shares of Iowans who view them unfavorably. Biden has the highest unfavorability rating of any politician tested in the Iowa poll at 66%. That includes 50% of Iowans who say they have a very unfavorable view of him. Trump has the highest unfavorable rating of any Republican politician tested in the poll at 47%. 37% of respondents say they have a very unfavorable view. So it's a lot of people who really dislike them. Now, 13% of likely voters say they have an unfavorable view of both candidates. Pundits and analysts have focused on this group of so-called double haters who are turned off by both candidates.
I think they should call them the most reasonable people being polled.
Yeah. So 13% of Iowa poll respondents are normal. Double haters. These are the people who listen to this podcast and enjoy it. We are double haters. We're all part of the double haters army. According to the poll, Iowa's double haters tilt toward Biden over Trump, 26% to 16%. So the double, again, I do think, even though I hate them both, I do think it would be a more reasonable decision to vote for Biden versus Trump, despite all the things I say about him.
Yep. Yep.
So it makes sense that a double hater, the most conscious, normal thinking person who could respond to this poll, I do think it makes sense. They would prefer Biden at the end of the day. Gun to their heads.
Yeah.
But 26% go for Kennedy. That was the same number as Biden. Okay, maybe the double haters are, I don't know, maybe they're onto something.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kennedy, like a lot of, I've seen people who I knew in high school who are like super like libertarian types. They really like Kennedy. They don't. Yep. Haven't heard of this Oliver guy, but I feel like Kennedy is the libertarian choice, even though he's not actually endorsed by the party.
Right.
And we're libertarians as well in this podcast. You know,
we're RFK Jr. voting libertarian double haters.
Yes.
I mean, look, he's a weird guy. A lot of bad positions, but that's also true of both of the major party candidates, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good look at Iowa's position in this year's presidential election. Not too different from last time around. We're voting for Trump, everybody. Get used to it. But we got a debate this week. You know, the Trump-Biden debate's happening on Thursday?
I did not know that until you alerted me to that a couple days ago. And I was like, damn, already? Like, they haven't even had the conventions yet. Is that normal? I don't think
it is normal, but
I don't think it is either.
Yeah. It's a foregone conclusion. Like, everyone knows who's going to be nominated, so why not?
I don't know. There's always the possibility of a untimely death, as Hillary alluded to when she was refusing to drop out against Obama.
Damn, I forgot about that. And it's a much more reasonable thing to say now.
Yeah, well, she had a different reason for saying it. Yeah. She explicitly, I think, alluded to an assassination attempt versus, Trump or Biden could just drop dead at any moment. And it wouldn't be that surprising to anyone.
Not necessarily a racist assassination. Yeah.
Yeah. But can you imagine the conspiracy theories that would crop up? Man.
Yeah. If Trump dies, this country is going insane.
Well,
I mean, when he dies, no matter what the circumstances,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
That'll be a fun time. So I was thinking we could maybe watch the debate and maybe talk about it for our next episode, if you'd be willing to suffer through that.
I can't wait, actually.
Okay.
I was so shocked I can't wait, but I was so shocked that they were even going to agree to them in the first place because it seemed super unlikely. They really don't have anything to gain. But I guess maybe they don't really have much to lose either. So
yeah,
everyone hates both of them. So
God, yeah, it's going to be weird to see what is their strategy going into this? Either of them,
pure coherent. I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about roping our Massachusetts friend Tony into doing a regular episode, and I think that's a good opportunity.
Yeah,
not quite so Iowa focused topics.
Yeah.
Iowa or Nebraska. We are now also a Nebraska podcast. Now that we're learning about nonpartisan partisan ballots.
I like Omaha. They got better shows there than they do here.
Yeah.
It's only 2 hours.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a couple of voicemails we received this week?
Sure.
Here's the first one.
Hey, Justin. It's Ash. While listening to the most recent episode.
Evan, don't listen. This is only for me.
That's fine.
I believe it was Lorelei's voicemail about the loss of their parentheses, not closed parentheses, primary, and reminded about the request for voicemails regarding the loss of the primary. I do have to report my red crayon is missing. Blue and yellow accounted for. Red, AWOL. I'm under significant distress. And I don't know what to do about it other than to call Iowa's only podcast. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, someone did successfully think of another meaning of the word primary.
Mm-hmm.
And as a reward, maybe we could buy them a box of crayons to replace the missing red.
Yeah, for sure. Call back with your address and we'll mail you a Crayola box.
Yeah. 319-849-8733. That's our number. Call us. Tell us your address. We definitely won't play it on the show.
Yeah.
319-849-8733. We did have one more voicemail. Let me check that one.
Yeah, hey guys, you said to call in if you lost a primary, and god dang it, if I can't seem to find, I've got my red, I've got my yellow, and it's gotta be, my blue is somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere. I can't find it, but I seem to have lost it. So I hope that helps.
It's the first time in podcast history where we received two calls that were basically the same thing. But this one was a day later, so you do not win the prize of a new box of crayons.
Yeah. There's different primary colors depending on what color system you're using.
Oh, this is new information for me.
Yeah, you ever heard of CMYK? Cyan, magenta, yellow.
The printing thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's RGB, obviously, for computers and screens.
So you would call those primary colors in those situations?
RGB is like light, and primary, like the red, yellow, and blue is like for, I don't know,
kindergarten.
Man. It's, basically for kindergarten. There's just different models. There's no like correct model, but I think it's just like how we perceive it on different mediums or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're telling me this is like a made up human classification?
Yeah.
Damn. I thought color was the one objective truth in my life. They were, those two voicemails, they were saying that different colors were missing. So maybe you two could trade. You could share. Going back to kindergarten, you could share your crayons with each other so that you got the full spectrum covered either way. Yeah. This podcast is all about finding solutions.
Yeah.
Again, 319-849-8733 if you would like to give us a call. Maybe you can think of another meaning of the word primary. So far, we've got electoral primaries, some sort of relationship polyamory thing, and colors.
I've never really heard of the relationship aspect of it. Not that I spend a lot of time with the polyamorous communities, but isn't that kind of offensive to your other partners if you have one primary?
Well, I think Lorelai kind of was saying that too in her voicemail, that like she doesn't actually like that terminology, but in order to sort of make sense of it with squares like us. She did text me actually after hearing her voicemail on the podcast, and I said there are basically no two guys on Earth less equipped to talk about this.
That's true. That is very true.
We got an address too, like a physical address. We got a P.O. box if you want to send us anything. P.O. Box 5336 in Coralville, Iowa 52241. Do you got any things to plug? I have one that I'm going to have to immediately revoke, but I think it's interesting enough to bring up.
I don't. I need to start looking for things so I don't have to keep saying that I don't have anything to plug.
Yeah, well, it's the listener's job to tell us about things happening.
That's true. We don't. Yeah, I mean, Justin stopped here on the way home from Lincoln, but outside of that, I don't leave the house. So
that's the only thing that happened in Des Moines yesterday, really.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't just drive by a huge right festival at the Buddhist Center.
Yeah. Okay. The thing that I was gonna plug, but then we have to take it back. Remember the restaurant child labor thing we were talking about last week? Mm-hmm. I'm reading here from a press release that was forwarded to me. This is from Jessica Dunker of the Iowa Restaurant Association, subject of that Bleeding Heartland article that we referenced. She wrote, "If you are able, please come to North Liberty on Monday at 10:30 a.m. That's tomorrow, to support 2 Iowa restaurants who risk losing their businesses over the excessive fines from the Department of Labor because they followed the new state law. The governor is hosting a press conference Monday at 10:30 a.m. at Sugar Peach." It's a restaurant in North Liberty. The governor herself was going to come here to North Liberty to do a press conference defending state law loosening child labor restrictions.
That's crazy. Doesn't seem like the kind of thing that you'd want to bring attention to, but
Chad Simmons is the owner of Sugar Peach in North Liberty. Believe he's also on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Iowa City.
How does that happen?
I'll let you all come to your own conclusions about that. And Subway owner Michelle Cox, who owns the Subway in Maquoketa, was also going to be there. Unfortunately, right before we started recording, we received word that this press conference has been canceled due to the excessive flooding in a large portion of the state of Iowa.
Damn. I was hoping that she was going to announce that the Iowa National Guard would be showing up at restaurants to prevent federal inspectors from entering.
Yeah.
Pull a Texas.
We need to protect Iowa's small business owners from the overreach of the federal government. Yeah, I was really hoping I could attend that press conference and maybe even get to ask a question of the governor. I have a press badge. I would have asked, since there's a federal minimum wage law, is it also are we planning on lowering the state minimum wage as well? If we're now allowed to just disregard the Department of Labor?
Seems like a pretty direct parallel.
Yeah. Seems like they would do that.
If they could, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that would actually make a big standoff between the federal government and the states, but
yeah. I mean, how many jobs even are still paying $7.25?
I mean, I think they're out there.
Yeah.
But they're not marketing those jobs to people like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One more little update as we close out today's episode. A public records request regarding the attempted encampment on the University of Iowa campus. Didn't uncover a whole lot of information, but did get this email sent from David Visen. I guess I don't know how to say his name. David Visen, who is the senior director of campus safety at the University of Iowa. By the way, Google his name. Look up old news stories about David Visen. You may find some interesting stuff about a cover-up involving his son and a demotion a number of years ago. But now, senior director of campus safety, David Visen. He emailed parking online at iowacity.org about a ticket that the University of Iowa police received, a parking ticket. They had a small bus parked on Capitol Street and received a parking ticket. The vehicle was parked there near the Iowa State Patrol troopers in case we had an encampment that turned into an unlawful assembly on the Pentacrest that day. The plan was to use that for prisoner transport in case mass arrests occurred. We would like to appeal this ticket. So that's probably the most interesting document that came out of that public records request, is that the University of Iowa police had a small bus on standby just in case they needed to cart a bunch of, anti-genocide students to jail. And they got a parking ticket, and they are appealing it with the city.
They were so excited to have the opportunity to do that. They're probably really bummed. And then the parking ticket on top of it. It's a bad day for cops, which is a good day for everyone else.
Yeah. I wonder if we can find out if they actually had to pay it or not. The city should stand their ground on that one. Like,
absolutely.
Come on, you can't just park a bus wherever you want all day. The cops think they're above parking law. What a shock.
Yeah.
Other plugs, we've got a Patreon. If you enjoy the podcast and would like to spend money on it, give us money to keep doing the podcast. You do get more podcasts in exchange for your money. For example, Bay Not Me Slippin' episode 4 just came out the other day, where we reviewed Slipknot's album All Hope Is Gone with our friend David Clare. I don't want to spoil too much, but, probably the least interesting of the Slipknot albums so far.
But it was a lot of fun to record.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
we still had 2 hours of stuff to say about it.
Yeah, I've actually listened back to the one we did with Teddy, just because it was a fun pod. I rarely do that these days, but sometimes the pod is good. And I am a Patreon subscriber now, so I have access to that thing.
Yeah. We're probably violating some kind of labor laws with that too.
I don't consider this labor.
It's patreon.com/rockhardcaucus if you're interested in that. And we'll probably put out a free episode of Bay Not Me Slippin' this week, since we just reached the halfway point in the planned series. I was thinking about starting with that first one about the demo, and then I could release the Teddy one once we finish the whole album cycle.
Yeah, well, it's up to you.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever you think is best.
Okay.
They're all fun to record.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this.
But that was my favorite album that we listened to, so.
Same. Yeah. Well, get more of this really important Slipknot commentary at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. Speaking of music, though, we do like to close the show with music sent to us by local artists. This one is not a local artist, but we're going to close today's show with Goth Wave by She Hacked You. shehackedyou.bandcamp.com. This is from an album called Implicit Memories. And She Hacked You when she filled out the form to submit music, which you can find at rockhardcock.us. It's at the top of the webpage there. She said, "Never been to Iowa, but I'm a communist." And here I am playing Goth Wave right now. So just know, if you're listening, you don't reside within the boundaries of Iowa. If you just say you're a communist, I'll play it anyway.
That is wild to me that people outside of Iowa listen to this that aren't just, like our friends.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. It's been out there for 5 years, so wow.
They want to learn about what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy you're listening.
Yeah, thank you
surprised.
to She Hacked You. And here's Goth Wave. And that's all for today. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we'll have Tony on.
That's, hopefully. think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be able to book them.